Welcome back. Since the president's COVID-19 diagnosis, many questions have been raised over what information the White House is passing on. At times, the messaging has been mixed, to say the least, between that given by the president's doctors and his White House staff, at least 11 of whom now have the virus. Well, today we're expecting another update on his condition and potentially even his discharge back to the White House. Let's speak now to US journalist and White House correspondent Ksenija Pavlovic McAteer. Thank you for being with us. So, I mean, this mixed messaging has really confused things, hasn't it? With his doctor saying one thing, his chief of staff saying another. What's going on?
Well, the White House messaging is falling apart, to put simply. They do not have a centralized, organized idea as to what they are supposed to provide to the public, and they are aware that the election season is in full swing, and they're trying to bypass the press pool. As you know, yesterday they went to a new law in the relationship with the White House press corps, and what they did, they ditched the protective pool. No one informed the press, the White House press, that the president is going to do a surprise drive-by, which is clearly an unacceptable thing to do in the time of the national crisis. Yeah,
but all this mixed messaging, I mean, this is the president of the United States in hospital a month before an election, and they can't even get the messaging and the communications on this right. I mean, his tweeting today seems to suggest he's feeling a bit better, but there are numerous questions to answer. First of all, that drive he made, who on his medical team suggested that that was a good idea?
Well, we really do not know. What we know, as the White House spokesman said to us yesterday, was basically that the decision was cleared by his medical team, but he didn't want to provide any further information, which is really bad because we need to know what happened and when did the president test the last time negative for COVID. They openly do not want to say that. And, you know, to make things worse right now, we have the press secretary claiming that she has tested positive for COVID, which tells you one thing, that as the person who is supposed to be the most important person in the White House, she says that she didn't have a clue that Hope Hicks tested positive on Thursday before the press secretary briefed the press. Well, what does this mean? It means that now the White House press corps needs to quarantine as well, because many of my colleagues were with her talking yesterday at the briefing.
So, I mean, this whole issue of when he last tested negative is important, of course, because on, what was it, Wednesday and Thursday, he went off to do these events.
Yes, but, you know, what is very interesting right now is that they do not want to say that. And what's really surprising is that they openly are telling us, we are not going to give you a readout of when he last tested, which is really speaking to the fact that there is no transparency. They like to appear as transparent, but they are not. And this is what it means to keep American journalists and American public in the dark, which should not be happening, to be honest.
No, absolutely. And then there's the whole issue of the seriousness of his condition or otherwise, with his doctor seemingly going out of the way to try and paint a positive picture, and then his chief of staff saying, well, actually, the vital signs weren't at all good. It does. I mean, even that is an issue, the president of the United States not being clear about, you know, his medical condition.
Well, it appears that the president doesn't have his main team under control in a way that they know what they're doing. Mark Meadows didn't sleep, based on information that I have, and he was trying to speak to the press off the record. He agreed for some part of his statement to go on background, which you know what it means basically, but that it cannot be attributed to him, which creates the whole mess in the public sphere. And President Trump was furious at Mark Meadows. But that's the question for them, quite honestly. I remember that when Dominic Cummings broke the lockdown in your country, you had a very strong response. But when basically the President of the United States is breaking his lockdown as infected person, we do not have any information as to why it happened, because the campaign rally cannot serve as a prop, as a photo op at the times when the president is basically a walking hazard.
Yeah, and just finally, I mean, what do you expect to hear today about, you know, what he's going to do next? He seems to want to go back to the White House, doesn't he?
he wanted yesterday to do a drive-by without caring about the Secret Service agents. And of course that he wants to be back, but is it safe? Because we know right now that 11 of the staff in the West Wing are infected by COVID. So it is a walking disaster, train wreck, to be blunt about it.
Ksenija, thank you very much indeed. And when we get some clear information about what is happening with the president, we will of course bring it to you.